If you've been told that you need a new consumer unit, or maybe you've just decided that you want to upgrade yours inside of your own house, you've probably already done what everybody does, and that's either you've gone out, spoke to a couple of electricians, you've got a couple of quotes, or you've maybe opened your laptop up, you've had a look online, and now you're sat there thinking, well, why is one electrician saying £500 and why is the other saying it's going to cost, let's say, £1,800? Are they even quoting for the same job? And this is the thing, most of the time they're not. So I want to do this video slightly differently to how I normally do them. So instead of me just throwing price ranges at you, I'm going to talk you through it like I'm sat right next to you looking at 3 different quotes on your kitchen table. And I'm explaining to you what you are actually paying for and what you need to check before you hand over any money. Now, if you're a new viewer here, welcome. I'm Ryan from Sparks Will Fly Electrical, and I'm an electrician who works in and around the London area, and I make these videos so that homeowners just like yourself can make proper and informed decisions when it comes to getting any electrical work done inside of your own home. And while I'm on that topic, if you are in London or the surrounding areas and you want a quote for any electrical work from yours truly, then there's a link on the screen and also down below in the video description box in the comment section where you can get directly in touch with me. We can have a little chat and go from there. Right, now let's pretend you've got 3 quotes sat in front of you at your kitchen table. Quote number 1 is going to be the really cheap quote, quote number 2 is the middle quote, and then quote number 3 is the very expensive one. And most people will take a look at those and say, well, I'm not stupid and I'm not paying that, it's only a fuse board or a consumer unit, so I'll take the cheap one. Or maybe if I'm feeling a little bit more adventurous, I'll take the middle quote. But here's what I want you to do instead. Before you even look at the numbers, I want you to look at what's actually being supplied and what's actually being installed. Because a consumer unit upgrade is one of those phrases that can mean totally different things depending on who's saying it to you. Some people mean, I'll change the board and I'll get it powered back up. Whereas other people mean, I'm upgrading your main protection, I'm checking your earthing, I'm checking your bonding, I am testing your circuits, I'm going to install it properly, and I'm going to leave you with all of the correct paperwork once it's done. So same words, 2 completely different jobs. So what is it that you are actually paying for? You are paying for the consumer unit itself, obviously, but the board is not the main cost. So you've got the protective devices inside of that board, they matter, and the way that it's installed also matters. The easiest way that I can explain this to any of my customers is a consumer unit isn't just a consumer unit or a fuse board, it's a system. So when you're looking at a quote, the first thing that you want to find out is what type of setup or what type of system is being installed. If they're vague, so new fuse board fitted, I want you to ask them to specify what devices it is they're going to be using, because there's a difference between, let's say, an older style RCD split load dual board arrangement where multiple circuits share the same protection, and then you've got the all new, all singing, all dancing RCBO setup where each circuit has its own level of protection. And there's also a difference between a job that includes surge protection and a job that doesn't. And after that, there's also a difference between somebody who's putting in budget cheap gear and somebody who's using decent, more expensive, more premium gear. Okay, and I'm not saying that you need to be an electrical engineer to understand all of this. You just need to ask the electrician who's giving you the quote the question. Now, the next important thing that most people forget about is this. When you change a consumer unit, you are not just swapping out a box on the wall. You are reconnecting your entire home circuits into a new protective system. And that means it has to be tested properly. And testing is not just turn it on and see if it works. I'll flick on a light switch, I'll plug in my TV and make sure that the sockets are working. That's not testing, okay? Testing correctly is part of the job. It should be built into the price when it's done properly. So if you are getting a quote or you've had a series of quotes that are cheap and they do not mention testing or certification, that's the biggest red flag that you could run into, okay? Because there is no world where somebody can do a proper tidy board change where they can identify the circuits correctly, where they can test all of the circuits correctly, where they can label them, where they can certify. All of that can't be done in 2 hours by a normal person unless they are skipping steps. And those skip steps are actually the most important, and they're what you are actually paying for. Now, the other reason quotes vary, and this is especially where I live in the London and the surrounding areas where properties and prices are a little bit spicy, is because of what we the electricians, the installing electricians, are inheriting. Older properties, especially in London, can and are unpredictable. So we might find things such as missing or undersized bonding, or odd arrangements of the circuitry, or circuits not labelled, or multiple circuits that have been joined in weird ways, and things that have been altered and messed around with over the years by many different people a lot of which probably didn't know what they were doing or they haven't done things correctly. So when somebody quotes you something cheap without even caring about or wanting to know what's already there, sometimes what they're actually doing is they're pricing it like they're going to ignore anything awkward, okay? So anything that they find that's unkindly or it's going to take them longer to correct, they're going to brush that off to the back and you're never going to even know that it exists. They will slap in the new board, they'll get it working and they will move on. Whereas if you've got an electrician who is pricing properly, they're going to be factoring in time for things such as identifying your circuit safely, checking the earthing in the bonding, making sure the supply side is correct, ensuring that the installation can actually be certified properly after the upgrade. Because here's the truth, a new consumer unit doesn't automatically make a dangerous installation safe. Let's say the earthing or your bonding are poor. The board, even a brand new all singing all dancing board, won't be the main problem. That board is now just part of what you can see. So any decent electrician should be at least aware of that and mention it. Now let's talk about some actual numbers, because I know that's what a lot of you will be here for, and I'm going to be straight with you. So in and around London and the surrounding areas, if you want a consumer unit upgrade done properly, so I'm talking neat install, correct protection, proper testing, proper certification, typically speaking, you're not talking around the £300–500 mark, okay? Not even close. A realistic consumer unit upgrade in London usually sits in and around the, I would say, £1,000-ish price tag on the lower side of that scale, all the way up to around £1,800, £1,700–1,800 on the higher end of that scale. But that all depends on the size of the board, the number of circuits, the specification of the materials being installed, the condition of what's already there, and then access and the complexity of the job itself. And then again, if it's a bigger property or there are issues that need to be addressed with remedials work once the initial testing has been done, or the board, let's say the board location is in a really awkward position and needs extra work in order to get a new board in place, that can easily go into the £2,000 plus territory. Now, I know that some people are going to be, they haven't even let me finish my sentence, they're already in the comment section saying, I got mine done for £300, £500, £600. Good for you, honestly, okay? Because I've been to plenty of jobs. I've lost count of the amount of jobs that I've been to on someone's property or home where somebody has got it done cheap and then the labelling is wrong. The circuits aren't identified properly. There are loose connections. The workmanship is messy, and I'm being kind, I want to say something else. Or let's say that tripping becomes a constant problem and the customer is now paying again to have me come around and put it right. So the question isn't, can it be done cheaper? The question that you need to be asking yourself is, do you want it done properly? Because this is the heart of your home's electrical safety system. Now, I want to give you a really simple way to judge whether a quote is sensible. So instead of just obsessing solely over the number, I want you to ask these questions. Question number one, what protection are you fitting? Is it going to be a split load board? Is it all RCBO board? Does it include surge protection? What's the brand and specification of the materials that you're going to be installing? I want you to ask the electricians this. The second question is, are they going to be checking the earthing and the bonding? And if they don't mention it, that's not great, okay? Make sure they mention it and make sure they're going to check it and make any adjustments necessary. Number three, are they going to be carrying out proper testing and issuing certification once they're completed? And if no, walk away, don't waste your time with them. And then number four, what happens if faults show up during the testing phase? Because sometimes faults are already there, okay? You just don't know it until the testing is carried out. And that last point is very important, because I don't like the idea of somebody paying for a consumer unit change and then being shocked or surprised when I find faults on their system. Okay, faults don't magically appear because I've changed the board or because an electrician has changed your board. They were already there to begin with, and the news board just does its job properly and it trips properly, which then highlights the issues or the faults that were being ignored or hidden by an older system and an older board. And let me be clear, because I don't want to scare anybody, most board changes do not turn into a nightmare, okay? A lot of them are fairly straightforward and they go very smoothly, but you want an electrician who prices and works like a professional, not somebody who's racing to do another board at somebody else's house on the same day, okay? You don't want that. And on that note, here's also something that affects the price that people don't factor in, which is the finish. A premium top-end install is going to be neat. It's going to be clean. The board is going to be straight. The entries are going to be tidy. The cables are going to be dressed properly, and the labels are going to make sense. It looks like it belongs there. You will know, if you have had a true professional electrician come around and install a board, you would know the difference between them and Dave down the pub done it. Okay, a cheap install often looks like somebody was in a rush and they didn't care about the finish, and you're now the one who's going to be staring at that board for the next 10, 15, 20 years while it sits on your wall. So again, it's not just cost, it's the value. Now let me wrap the video up like this. If you are currently watching this and you're considering a consumer unit upgrade in your property, here is the right way that I want you to approach it. I don't want you to choose solely on price. Do not accept vague quotes, okay? Make sure that testing and certification is part of the job, and that also includes the electrician talking about an upgrading or considering upgrading your earthing and your bonding if it's needed, and choose someone whose standard of work you actually trust. Now again, if you are in London or the surrounding areas and you want a quote from me or you have any questions, you can click the link, it should be on the screen, it's also down below in the video description box. Fill out the form and I will get back to you as soon as I can. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I look forward to seeing you again soon inside of another one. Until next time, take care.